Well, delegations from both Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates are taking part in this year's World Economic Forum in Davos. The Saudis intend to focus on their 2030 economic transformation programme, which was launched by the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. They're also putting themselves forward as mediators in an increasingly polarised world. Simon Henderson is a Saudi expert and the director of the Gulf and Energy Policy Programme at the Washington Institute for Near East Policy. Thank you very much indeed for being with us. How would you say Saudi Arabia intends to use the forum this week to further its economic diversification programme?
Well, that's an interesting question, and we wait to see because the forum only started earlier today. I've noticed that the Saudi Minister of Finance was interviewed on one of the television networks, and he played it very much in economic terms, that Saudi Arabia is in the middle of this transformation. He thinks it's a good idea, and they're pushing ahead on that. But that's sort of the optimistic view, and the greater context for that, at least at this stage, in the absence of any other information, is what is going to be the price of oil. Is it going to be at the level that the Saudis want in order to finance their changes? And following from that as well is the question of the price of oil is related to the demand for oil, which is related to the state of the world economy. And at the moment, we sort of hope that China is coming back, but there are concerns about COVID in China, and there are also wider concerns about recession in the world.
Well, looking ahead to this year, do you think the oil price will be in Saudi Arabia's favour or will be more in the West's favour?
Well, the question is the dilemma. Saudi Arabia clearly wants a relatively high price of oil and has shown by pruning production that it's prepared to cut back in order to keep such a price or get to such a price, while the rest of us, the consumers, individual consumers and the governments of the West want a cheaper price of oil because it's good for our wallets, and it's also good for helping to revive our economies, which have been hard hit one way or another over the last couple of years.
And of course, the West does not have access to Iranian oil, with that country being under ongoing sanctions. However, Iran is still selling its oil. It's just posted some of its highest sales in years. There's a report in the Wall Street Journal which says Tehran is telling the Assad regime in Syria it must start to pay a higher price for its oil. What do you read into this?
Well, I thought that was an extraordinarily interesting report, which I read. It has, I think, a couple of questions to it. Does it mean that Iran's relationship with Syria is changing? Well, it clearly is going to change if they want to alter the price of oil. But is Iran reducing its support for Syria? And the other question, of course, is where does Russia fit into all this, which has been supporting the Assad regime in Syria and has also developed a surprising and important defense supply relationship with Iran, which has been supplying drones to Russia for use in Ukraine.
Do you see a similar situation for Yemen?
If there's Yemen involved, I'm not sure where it fits in. Yemen is always going to be a bit of a headache in the Middle East one way or another. That's the way it's always been. Is it going to be a significant part of the geopolitical question this coming year? Not clear to me at all.
Okay, the outlook still unclear given the conflict there. Can we talk about Kuwait? A report out today says that Kuwait is expanding its gas manufacturing capacities. We usually associate Kuwait, of course, with oil production. Why this move into gas?
Well, the gas which is concerned, and I read the report, is butane and propane, which are essentially side products of refining oil. So it's not such a radical change. These are just aspects of the production of the barrel of oil which needs to be used in one way or another, and Kuwait is getting its act together on some of these lesser uses. It is not, according to the report that I read, to do with natural gas or liquefied natural gas, which, sorry to be detailed, but is methane, which is the sort which, for example, Israel is producing offshore in the Eastern Mediterranean. When converted into a liquid, it's then shipped to perhaps Europe, where it fuels power stations. So it's an interesting development, but rather esoteric for anyone other than the expert.
We appreciate your expertise, Simon. Thank you very much. Simon Henderson there.